It happens to the best of us, man. It's all good. It's like
Well,
yeah.
yeah, our apologies for the late starting. It is completely my fault. My computer decided to do a massive update, which we usually do these before, but for some reason it came in right now, and
Got to go right now.
it hijacked my system. So, my apologies. It's rare we have IT issues, maybe, but here we are. So, again, par for the course when you're doing a podcast from your home with
Live even.
yeah, with a live, and we're doing this on our budgets, so on a beer budget, champagne dreams beer budget. So.
You get what you pay for.
Exactly. But welcome everybody to another episode of the Nissan Nerd Podcast. Mike, ding, ding, ding. Tell them what they want in this episode.
Let's go for it, guys. All right, guys. On this episode, Nissan utilizes a brain-stimulating device that claims to increase its driver's cognitive performance. Also, Nissan is debuting a new EV concept called Hyperforce. And Miles, I think you've got that one.
Yeah.
And then later on, guys, we're going to be chatting with a fellow Z enthusiast and entrepreneur known as Junkyard Jenny Boyd and her online store, which specializes in first-generation Z car parts. So if you are in the need, it's actually going to be a really fun chat that we have. So, again, this is a Nissan Nerd Podcast. Stay with us. Here we go.
Jeez, what a stressful start of a show from what? You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I'm going to have a preemptive compi just solo.
Okay. Normally,
that's just for me to get through the show. That's all I need. So
that's all right, man. So normally you're the guy who's cool as a cucumber, and now it's tables have turned. Now, all right.
Oh, I see you trying to call me out. It'll be fine. Mellow. Things work out. But a little late time, but we'll work all through it. So, but yeah, fine. Another episode. Which episode number are we on right now, Mike?
We're on 74, man.
74.
They keep racking up, man. We're doing all right.
We aren't doing too bad. Not too bad. So it's been a minute. You know, you and I haven't got together to turn wrenches in a hot minute because you've been off gallivanting about the world. But you also had a recent adventure. What'd you do?
A big one, man. Yes. So, yeah, as far as what's going on in my world the last couple of weeks, honestly, man. So in a previous episode, I let you know about the 350Z and how essentially overheating. We think it's a head gasket. Cars, it needs another engine. It needs a rebuild. It needs a lot. Let's just say that it needs a lot. In the meantime, though, I do need something to keep me reliable on a daily basis. And, you know, essentially it's kind of given me an opportunity. I found a really good deal on a new car. So we went ahead and grabbed this car about 2 weeks ago. And I wanted to share it with you guys for those who follow up and stay with us on a regular basis. Yeah, Mike's got a new ride, man. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Bum-ba-da-bum. Got ourselves a 2009 370Z. 6-speed. It is the tech package. You got the Icabona brakes, limited slip differential.
Can I just say something? Did you just buy your old 370Z back? This is exactly the same one you had, or am I wrong?
It's very close, other than my first 370Z was automatic. This one's fairly close. It's got a lot of the bells and whistles that the first one did. Granted, it's nearly 8 years later. So it's same year that my first one is, same color. And honestly, classic, 8 years later.
Classic color. You can't really go wrong with that.
Oh, it's time. I mean,
350 in the Silverstone. This one, I forgot what the color code is on the 370, but I know it's pretty damn close.
I think it's Silverstone. Something like that. Yeah. You know what? Dang it. I should know this. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, we should.
I want to say it's Silverstone.
Official Nissan nerds, we should know this.
Yeah. So this find, though, was through Facebook Marketplace. It was about 2.5 hours away. So Special thanks to Haley Myers for being the ride to get me out there. We spent the
for loaning you the money to buy it. That's
no,
nice.
no. just to be obviously to drive and to help me get this car back home, but also for the great company that she keeps. Had a great time getting out there, but honestly, it sounds funny though. We did a test drive and I gave her the keys. I was like, I know she's known to drive cars into the ground and to know, like, to be a litmus test as to, like, and a good thing, she races cars is what I mean. She knows how to put a car through its paces. And if this car on a test drive can handle her aggressiveness on a test drive, that means it's got the chops. It can last longer for sure.
You know, that's kind of weird. It's like you have to, and you know, I hate to do the whole, you know, placement of male and female, but it's just like that's like the old adage of, you know, well, it's good enough for her bridge game, but like the roles are reversed. You know, I brought my big tough race car girlfriend to put it through its paces because I'm not strong enough as a driver to put that
come
through.
on. Yeah,
right. It's not. It's definitely a nod to Haley, but
for sure.
A kick in the guts for you. But no, I'm just
hey, I can recognize, no matter who it is, that there is more talent than myself. But I won't say, like, I'm not nobody. Like, I know how to. Why I say that? Everybody.
Well,
says
you
it,
know, did she teach you
how
to drive? Did she
no. Dude, we talk. I've been driving standard since I was a teenager, man. But
I had to kick it. I had to kick you in the chest. But no, man, it actually looks like a really nice purchase. So I'm super happy for you. So.
That's the big thing too. Is that you know, I think I'm the third owner on this one though. But the last owner has had the car for a very long time.
Okay.
Had an extensive packet of invoices and receipts. So that essentially I've got a lot of information on the car. And think about it, this car is almost 15 years old and everything is stock. I mean, it's really hard to.
It doesn't look like it's been hot boyed out at all, so that's a good thing.
Exactly, so. It's really hard to find. I mean, the paint was damn near mint still, and the engine, suspension, brakes, all that essentially stock, and it doesn't look ragged out at all. So I really think I found a good find. And this is keeping me on the road in style. Meanwhile, the 350Z is still here, making plans for that coming up, I should say. So we'll be going. For those who follow anything that Miles and I do, we'll be keeping you updated with both cars now, essentially projects, because it's really hard to leave a car alone, essentially.
For the record, Haley chimed in and said, brilliant silver. And I think she is absolutely 100% right. So
brilliant silver.
Yeah, they changed it from
Silverstone to brilliant silver.
So, anyways,
how about yourself, man? Oh, thank you so much. Now, let me just say this. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm going to bring this up. I don't care because I find it so funny about you.
Please.
You can't seem to keep yourself out of Facebook jail. What do you do all the time, man? That keeps you. Are you like a regular in there? Like you're like the what's the word? The alpha in the Facebook jail nowadays? What's going on here, man?
It's my lifestyle. That's really what it is. I'm a loner. I'm a rebel.
I'm a rebel, daddy.
I'm not afraid. You know what it is? It's my meme lord lifestyle. That's what it is.
Meme lord lifestyle.
Yeah, it's got me in trouble, and now I'm in Facebook jail. But it's all right. They can't hold me down. It's nothing new, you know. I'll do my 3 to 5.
Do your time.
Get out on good behavior as per usual. It's all right. No big deal. I'll come back stronger. I've been working out, losing some weight, getting some Facebook, some prison gym time in. So that's all right. But now I am in Facebook jail for a few days. I am scheduled to be released on parole tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
So for those that I'll start updating my page with Nissan updates and memes here starting tomorrow. So yeah, good.
That's good, man. Anything else happening in your world?
No. Let me see. I bought another engine. Let's see here. Bought a VG30DE, tearing it apart, and that's it. Just do more cleaning, stem stuff off the plating. I sold my 280Z that I had bought with intentions of doing. Somebody wanted it more than me. They had money in the hand, so I sold it. So I got money in my pocket to spend on a new project. So we'll see how it goes. So.
You know what's funny about that? That is a little kind of going back to my car thing. The car was in Houston, so as Haley and I were driving to Houston, we look off to the right hand, like a right hand like access road, and we see a truck towing a silver Datsun Z, just a shell. And I'm like, I know exactly where that Datsun. And I called you. You didn't tell me anything. I was like, Miles, did you? Let me go off on a limb here. Did you sell your Datsun shell? He goes, I sure did. I go, I just saw it on the way to Houston right now. So you sold your Datsun the same day I bought my 370. I know that much.
It's weird. It's weird how we work like that, and we didn't even talk to each other that
we
day,
didn't.
Really. Now it was just we needed a change of pants, and that's all it was. So, but yeah, big. So I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I got money in my pocket. I can't wait to burn through it, buy a new crappy project. We'll see how it goes. So, and then I'll sell it off to somebody else. So. But again, let's give some shout outs here to the crowd. Thanks everybody for kind of being here with us.
Yeah. Again, thanks for being here. For those, a lot of you already know that you are lighting up our comment section. Thank you so much for doing that. Keep them coming throughout the show so that as we get through the show, we'll be sharing a lot of y'all's comments along the way. So keep it coming. We see you. And Miles, I think you have the honors this episode.
Yeah. So today we want to, obviously this is our compi section where we're going to give a little salute to those in the Nissan family whom we wish good health, and to those we may have lost. May we be reminded of them often. We want to give 2 shout outs here today. Mike, I think you've got the first one. Go ahead.
I do. So first one, most recently, you might call him our fearless leader when it comes to the Z Car Club Association, our longtime executive director of the ZCCA, Chris Carl, has his birthday most recently. Want to give him a shout out. There he is in his Titan, hauling an old Nissan logo.
He stole a dealership sign. So be on the lookout for this man. He's wanted in 14 states for theft of dealership signs. So. And
we did manage to get a few high school shots.
That's
good.
I don't know why he's hanging out with a turtle, but whatever. It's
yeah, he did have his rebel phase as well, Miles. I'm not sure if you knew this. Was that flock of seagulls? What would you say?
That's pretty good. I wish I wish we all still had that same hair. So all right, it is what it is. But yeah, big shout out to Chris. We love you, man. Keep being our spokesperson for the Z community. So
please do, man. You're doing a great job.
On a different note, I did want to give a shout out to somebody we have unfortunately lost. A really good friend of the show. She used to comment on here all the time. A really good friend of mine, Jamie Verips. She was a hardcore Z enthusiast, and I loved her very dearly. She was a sweetheart. I used to work on her Z all the time. Unfortunately, she passed away due to an illness that was ailing her. Unfortunately, causing her great turmoil, great pain. She ended up succumbing to that illness, unfortunately, and she passed away here this last Tuesday. I unfortunately got the sad news, and I just wanted to give a shout out to her. She will definitely be missed. I've been thinking about her just about every single day as of late. And I'm going to miss her dearly. I'm going to miss talking to her, as all her Z questions. And just, I mean, she was just an amazing person. She is survived by her parents and, of course, her daughter as well. So.
Yeah, you told me just earlier this week about that, and it wasn't until it hit me when I was like, Jesus, she always would. You're right. She would contribute and ask questions, man. And
she's awesome.
Definitely gonna be missed,
and
man.
She came to my house all the time for Z32 stuff. And
you had her car.
I had a car for a number of days, and I kind of got it up and running for her because that's kind of one of her wishes. I guess she kind of knew she was a little sick, unfortunately, and she wanted to kind of get her car running. So one of the last things I kind of did for her was to make sure we got her a running Z, and we did for a short time. So she was able to drive it, so that's a good thing. But I feel good about that, and again, I'm going to miss her greatly. So, again, I want to give a shout out to those folks. If you would, let's just raise our glasses.
Please join us to Jamie.
Jamie.
Bye, guys.
Well, so today we have show like others, like we always do. We're going to start off the show here with some Nissan news. Mike?
Whoo! All right, guys. So, just like you said, Miles, Nissan news. This segment of the show is typically where Miles and we each go through the internet's, the Nissan media newsrooms to other third-party uh, articles and anything related to Nissan, and try to find an article. We each find one article that we like to share with you guys, and we typically try to go for the obscure. Sometimes there are some topics that are just so hot that we have to talk about it, and so I think we've got an example of both this time around, though. But let's get into it, guys. This is our Nissan news segment. Miles, I think you have the first article. This one was pretty hot. When I was doing when we were searching, I saw this one a lot of places.
Yeah, this one just came up pretty quickly. It actually just kind of jumped up on the feed here in the last 24, 48 hours. Wasn't very long. So right now, just recently, the Tokyo Auto Show actually just popped off here within the last 2 days, and Nissan unveiled 5 vehicles, 5 concept vehicles here recently. And Mike will bring up the article here from what we can find. Sure. But they released 4, and then they kept the 5th one kind of hidden in the back. And it was a low profile, high wing. So there was a lot of excitement from what we're being told at the show about this concept that was released. And lo and behold, the release for this vehicle was dropped. This is, of course, was the Nissan, the all-electric Hyperforce concept. That was a GTR concept that was just released here within the last day and a half. Now, this vehicle is apparently boasting a 1,341, if you want to translate it like that, into base horsepower. In gigawatts, it's quadrillion.
Gigawatts.
But apparently it's a one-off concept. The probability of development is extremely low right now. But again, it was an extremely cool concept, boasting all-wheel drive, of course. And then, of course, the all-stable batteries that we've been talking about for the longest time are kind of here. Maybe not. But apparently it is a working model at this point with the Boast. But, I mean, there's a lot kind of going on. There's a lot of nods in my opinion. I mean, just the roof line, the silhouette kind of carries with it everything from the 35.
The taillights, even the
taillights. Well, the wing layout. I mean, the roof layout as well. There's just a lot going on. To me, the nose drags out like the old R31 silhouette from back in the day.
The silhouette racers, an exaggerated front end.
Yeah, and then there, of course, we've got some stuff that's the Nismo GTR up in the front with the fenders. I mean, there's a lot going on with this car if you really truly dissect it, but I it's a concept just like anything else. It's just meant to stir up excitement. Anybody have anything in the comments? Let us know your thoughts, your what you have thought as you've seen this roll out from Nissan. Let us know.
For sure.
Kind of talk about it.
Now,
Ion did mention right now Bo Suzuka style. I would kind of Bozo style, I would say a little bit. Yeah, like with the front kind of going on. Again, that's
wide
that
flares.
R31 silhouette that, I would say it kind of has that a little bit, but there's certain little details that I'm really kind of digging on it as I start to dig into it. Like the mirrors. I know they're almost unusable. But
see how thin they are. Yeah,
they are super thin. But the aerodynamic sleekness of it, the gull wing doors. I don't know if those constitute as gull wing doors, but those are definitely interesting.
Not a gull. Yeah.
I guess So
I was trying to find a picture of those mirrors, like you mentioned. If you look here, they are razor thin. It's interesting for sure. Go ahead.
No, that was pretty much kind of what we had. I mean, some of the other stuff was interesting in the car, but again, for a concept, it definitely has drawn a lot of attention. But I wonder how much of this will actually translate into the gas-powered GTR, or if it'll just completely be a concept where it's all standing on its own. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, one of the statements they did say, right, it was essentially what they call a vision of the future. How far of a future, how far away remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing I saw, at least to me, just nerding out on this, was obviously it's an EV. We get that essentially 99% of concepts from any manufacturer are EV nowadays. But they were saying that the capacity of the battery was am I getting this right? Milliwatt?
Yeah.
It's like essentially it's the biggest battery you could was ever been fitted into a car.
Yeah.
As of now, which not only has, let's talk about range is one thing if you really want to be efficient, but this is a hypercar. You're not trying to be efficient. We're talking about
let's call
that
it
power to the wheels.
If I could coin a term, if it hasn't already been done, let's call it like a hyper supercar. Are we really going to talk about distance on a hyper supercar at this point? You really never want to bring up something like that with something comparatively like this. This is pretty much power, reasonable distance.
Yeah,
is what I would probably be shooting for if it was ever to make it into fruition as a vehicle that was attainable for the public. But yeah, but in a racing concept, potentially, if there was a platform to debut this in, which you never know what's going to happen with things like Super GT or other series that may develop
in the future. Yeah,
you never know. But could it? Of course, it would be completely different. We're talking in that concept. But again, we're just talking concept. Very cool ideas. Very cool for them to kind of drop this. So again,
now just curious too. I know these pictures that we're sharing are obvious illustrations. Now there was a physical model though that they debuted, just to confirm, right?
Correct. There was.
Yes. Oh wait, I saw that. Look at this. It's pixelated, but it's it kind of gives you the idea that it says GTR up in the center.
We're going after that whole retro Blade Runner kind of all tossed together.
I see Blade Runner in this for sure. Yeah. Actually, we had Ion chime in and say maybe it's a RoboCop future. This one too. That's another.
It kind of got me. There's a couple different things that kind of come to mind, and it's weird. It's all cinema based, right? Like the Aliens 2, like where they kind of have that low vehicle. Of course, it's a completely different animal, but like the wheels, like they're just so massive, and then of course these just these slight silhouette accents. Somebody else told me the other day when I was talking about it, Cybertruck, and I was just like, no, it's completely different manufacturers, but the idea is people are kind of following that lead, that very just sharp edge, with very tech heavy vehicles. I mean,
and that's when it comes down to design in general. Like, we always see these cycles of design. I mean, think about the last time we saw sharp angles were in the 80s. Then you get into the 90s, the bubble era.
Art is revolutionary. It's always
cyclatory.
It's cyclatory. It's going to recycle itself in some capacity, and then reinvented. So but anyway, I'm not going to harp on it too much. But there it is, the concept, one of 5 that was released at the Tokyo Auto Salon, and a little hint for those, or a little fact for those that didn't know. Do you know how the Tokyo Auto Salon came to be?
No. Wait. Is this? Ooh, I think I know, but you go ahead and do the honors.
No,
that's a good one.
Come on, I'll tell you what. I will not ding you if you get it wrong. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was thinking, wasn't it something that essentially involved Mr. K in the beginning?
It was. Yes. All right, you're halfway there.
Yeah. Because there's an organization that has to do with automotive in Japan. And I think it was this convention that was essentially initiated by Mr. K at some point.
So he said, basically, he had these, and this was around the time when he was trying to debut the Z and everything else. And he basically said, hey, we need to debut and pull together our vehicles why don't we have our own Nissan, or excuse me, our own Tokyo show. So he went to all the major manufacturers and he was the guy who really kind of pushed for there to be a Tokyo Motor Show. And that's actually how it kind of started.
It's really cool, man. Again, it's man, not the another feather in the cap for Mr. K, which we've known here.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
know.
that
It's one
he
of the
was in
weird things.
everything, man.
It's one of the weird things that people don't want to talk about, but it's pretty cool. If you want to hear more about like the craziness of Mr. K, believe it or not, Motor Trend actually did a really good article
Yeah.
where they did turbo. I think it's turbo stories. If you go and watch the most recent one, they talk about Mr. K, and you can get a few more behind the scenes stories. And yeah, I would highly recommend checking that out. And if you want to know some more stories, we always kind of drop these little tidbits of information and little hints and things that you wouldn't know otherwise. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we did have a few comments from online. We'll throw up a few here. Of course, Haley Myers says, "Say here, make it stop." So
Oh,
mixed reviews. I mean, give and take. We know this is a pushing of the envelope. I would say, creatively speaking. A lot of it's let's say here, front end looks like a Camaro, deranged Camaro, maybe. Again, it's purely a concept. What do we got?
Ion said 1983 IIRC or double IRC. He's kind of right. He's talking about a particular vehicle from that time era, and he's the stretch in the front. So yeah, and he's right. It kind of goes with that. So
Gotcha, man. Good article though, man. I'm glad we covered it because that one again was everywhere. You know, it really was um, something
it
that
kind
we
of
had to
hit
touch
it hit
upon.
the news feed pretty hard within the last day or so. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Now you had a article too as well,
Mhm.
talking about brain functions. All right,
So
go on. You want to
this
nerd
is
out? I know you're going to nerd
yes.
out, but go ahead.
So this story is the complete opposite of what you might have covered. This was now granted. This
No
article was
brain
through.
function. Go
Sorry.
ahead.
Yeah. This one. This article was through the Nissan or Nismo newsroom, but I didn't see it have as much traction through much of the media outlets. So this one to me was one of those that was kind of under the radar, and very interesting to think about. Literally, play on. I'm getting into that one. Um, it's regarding Nismo and essentially a device and training that they're giving their drivers as a test. So let me share my screen. Let's get into it. Nissan Formula E team demonstrates improvements in cognitive function with a bespoke brain training program. Is it like brainwashing? What's going on here? You got Sasha Finestris got kind of wide eyed here, trying to figure out what the hell is going on right now. But honestly, it is a awesome story here. I'll give you a little bit of a rundown. You know, we all know that in motorsports teams, a lot of the money and time is invested into the chassis or the vehicle that the team is going to compete with.
Okay.
And then also traditionally, from a driver's perspective, a training regiment on their part, you know, it has to do with essentially, keeping your weight down, having a fitness to yourself, an endurance, strength. You're in the gym a lot. And then you've got, of course, the training that you have at each track as they come around. But what Nissan's showing here is a new direction in driver training, which has some results, some really cool results, actually. That's what this whole article is about. So they're saying here that Nissan, for the last 3 years already, and their Formula E program, they've been collaborating with research organizations and universities in the UK, in Switzerland, and actually here in Texas. University of Texas in Austin has been involved with this program. Kind of cool, so close to us. But what they're doing, essentially, this device that you see on their head, and then with this device, along with a series of trainings that they're developing, they're able to measure and record brain functions of the racing drivers, and they're able to know to improve cognitive performance. Um, they're calling it the Brain to Performance program, and it's pretty crazy. After 3 years, why have we not, especially us, Miles? We're typically digging on a regular basis. How could we not have seen this? This has actually been under wraps for, I want to say, a decent while.
Well, racing advantage, right? So why would you want
Yes.
to show your cards? You know, in the racing world, I mean, that's the unwritten rule, right, for the teams. Don't
Yep.
let them know uh, you're in development for something like that. So give me more. Come on, let's
Cool,
go.
cool. So the organizations they're working with have had previous experience using these types of devices with the U.S. military. You've got soldiers that come back with a form of PTSD in various degrees. They're able to use this to help. I wouldn't say solve or cure, but to treat and improve symptoms of PTSD. You also have NFL, American football. You have football players that have brain injuries and they're using this similar device to treat them and improve their cognitive ability I would say you might say recover or strive or improve their cognitive ability. So they did say here that these treatments and do include this what they call a brain stimulating sonal device. And I had to look that up, and it's a pretty crazy definition here. They're saying a sonal device uses cutting-edge, non-invasive technology that reshapes your brain waves to effectively improve your brain health for general well-being. You're reshaping brain waves, dude. Like how freaking that's some intense stuff, man. And this is what Nissan is doing to help improve their drivers' performance. Some of the results that they're seeing as a result of this, the trainings and with this device, is essentially enhancements and complex decision making, being able to make those decisions faster, especially in a racing environment. You've got 20 cars, 20 plus cars going in, racing. You've got to take fast reactions. That they're seeing an improvement in that. They're seeing an improvement in the stress and fatigue resilience to endure that stress and keep it going from a mental perspective. And then they're seeing quicker reaction times. Yeah, when you've got a car to the side of you that's going to, make a last second move and you want to not crash out, you got to have really quick reaction times. And they're saying that this device and training that they've been training with, again, for the last 3 years, is showing these types of improvements to make their drivers more competitive. Essentially, they're saying here they had a control group, which means you've got people who didn't do the brain stimulation and then the group that did do the brain stimulation. And from the results they saw just from that alone, they had the people, and these are everyday people, not the drivers. They're just having, this is just one example. These people were racing on rigs, sim rigs, and they said that the people who received the brain stimulation performed 50% faster, and they learned the circuits they raced on or memorized the circuits 50% quicker as well. So that's some of the results just from an overview of the type of improvements that they're seeing. And then when you get into the drivers, of course, a driver's mind just from the very beginning, way more probably a higher level of starting, because typically these guys have been doing this professionally for a number of years. They've shown some really good performance results, and they're saying that for the next season here in 2024, Nissan is essentially being this pioneer and breaking through with this new level of driver development and training. It's going to be a part of their daily training programs for this upcoming season. So I see this as a huge competitive advantage. I don't know if any other constructor in motorsports is doing this, but Nissan is already at a level with this training to where they're saying, we already know it works. We've already done the research. We are doing this full time. This is going to be part of the driver's regiment each season going forward.
So Nissan is making lawnmower men.
Well, and that's what I was thinking. I was trying to think of a movie. You say Lawnmower Man.
A movie. Yeah, Lawnmower Man is the only thing I can reference where we're taking somebody's brain activity and we're maximizing it.
Oh.
And that guy ended up speaking like 20 languages, and
yeah. I was
hopefully he's psychotic.
The movie I was thinking of was Limitless. Did you ever see that Bradley Cooper Limitless?
I did, where you're starting to pop the pills, and then he was just getting extreme intelligence and
If I ever have Sasa Finestras, the Nissan driver, come to me and touch my heart, touch my chest, and be like, "You're gonna have a heart attack in 6 months," I'm like, "Oh shit, man! This guy, he's just gonna be like, he's gonna be so far advanced. His helmet's gonna need to be like 3 times bigger because of all the work
he's gonna
that
be
they're
sticking
doing.
out like that, like the old
bigger,
Martians from the
helmets.
Hanna-Barbera commission. Yeah, Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Yeah.
With a,
When you start seeing Nissan drivers with helmets, the biggest helmets in the freaking race, then you know something's up. They're doing something.
vein that pulses.
Yeah.
Ion Dasgupta says cyborgs.
Was that another movie?
No, I think he's just saying that we're trying slowly building towards that. It's a possibility. Who knows? All right.
Yeah, I do want to say one more thing though before we move on. You know, when it comes to motorsports, I really think, you know, this whole article really focused on mental performance, but I think an aspect that we're gonna see this actually improve on as well, and perhaps even more so, would be drivers' mental health. This could be a thing, I believe, because there's a lot of things that drivers go through. I mean, no matter what session it is, qualifying or race, you've got a lot of pent up stress or fear or some sort of anxiety that you really or a mental block, because you've got guys that, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of what came to my mind first. You know, you've got guys that are trying to get over a particular hump, like maybe they, you know, just had a bad couple runs, bad couple races, or maybe getting over an accident, something like we've seen historically in races where you've got somebody has that essential fear put into them after something that's traumatic, like an accident. So maybe that would help them develop past that and kind of help redevelop that driver back to their original condition, if not surpass that. So yeah, pretty interesting.
I agree, man. I really see this as an opportunity to really expand not only from performance though, but into mental health. It's really, really cool, man. Again, props to Nissan, guys. For those who are interested, we're gonna have all our articles on our show notes. Take a look for yourself. There's some really good stuff happening too. So let's go from there then. But that is Nissan news, Miles.
Good. Well,
yeah,
that is Nissan news. Now, actually, we're going to start going into motorsports at this point. Motorsports, of course, is a segment where we look into Nissan's current motorsports portfolio, its race entries, supported teams, and how they are doing. Of course, we talk about whatever is kind of hot at the moment. You know, right now we've got a lot going on with whatever's. It is a downtime, but we're of course featuring everything that is still ongoing at this time. Formula E is down right now. Centra Cup is just recently finished out. Of course, we've got Nissan Challenge that's still going, which is a localized racing event that we cover here in the United States, and have some really good friends that are actually part of that on with us here tonight as well. Yeah. Mike, let's. I think you have the first one, which is the Nissan Challenge, correct?
Yeah, we sure are. So yeah, getting into Nissan Challenge, there's nothing new to report specifically for this episode since the last time we went live here. However, the next race is this upcoming weekend. We're talking round 6 at the Streets of Willow. This is in Southern California. For anybody who's in the area, go to corner3motorsports.com and look for the link that says the Challenge Series. That's going to be the best way to see the full schedule. This is round 6. There's 2 more to go after this. So even though it's the end of the year, in Southern California specifically, competition, track days, all that is still very much going on. Again, the last round here is in mid-December. So one of the benefits of being in California, you got some really nice weather most of the year. This is part the Nissan Challenge this weekend is part of the SR20 convention, which we know about, Miles. We encourage everybody to go out there, though. Again, this is at the Streets of Willow in Southern California. I think our buddy Edgar is on the line here too. So again, we've had interviews with the team and organizers of the Nissan Challenge. Great group of guys. We definitely encourage you guys that are in the area, go check them out, man. You definitely owe it to yourself.
Yeah, the last final of their shows, and we've talked about this in some of the prior shows, but they have the SR20 convention that's coming up, and then of course the R meeting for those that are still sleeping under a rock. The massive GTR meeting is actually part of one of their other events. That did that already happen, or was that one of the upcoming events? I couldn't remember.
Which one?
The R meeting.
Oh, I think it's
Edgar
upcoming.
will chime in here just a little bit, but
Yes.
yeah, I mean, they are starting to get some really good development with working with these tracks and working with these other groups. So again, if you have an opportunity, definitely, and if of course you're in the neighborhood of California, you definitely want to start chiming in with those, getting that on your radar and on your calendar, and start looking to attend those if you have an opportunity, or just keep up with them. So again, kudos to those racers that are going to have an upcoming race weekend. We wish everybody a safe racing weekend. Hope you all have a good time. Moving on from there, Super GT is probably the next biggest news. We are actually just finished up round 7 of Autopolis. Now, let me see here. I'm just going to run through some of the figures and the race results from that. So in the 300 class, it was a pretty good weekend, kind of off rainy on Saturday. Sunday turned out to be a dry day. 300 series, of course, this is all the GTRs that Nissan is currently running in that series. 5th place, car number 56, Realized Nissan Mechanic Challenge GTR. I would have hoped they would have been higher up the line as they normally are, but unfortunately, that's where they placed. 9th place, car number 11, the Gainer 10X GTR. 10th place, car number 10, the Ponos Gainer 10X GTR. And then, of course, 14th place, car 360, the run-up Rival GTR, which unfortunately is the last team right now in the rankings. So we'll talk a little bit about rankings here a little bit later. I don't know why I said that. It should have been nicer to them. They've obviously been working hard, so keep going, guys. Maybe we'll get up in placement. Series 500, which is all the Z's that Nissan's currently fielding right now. 3rd place, car number 3, the Nitera Multi Z, ended up putting in for 3rd place. Huge congratulations to them on that. 5th place, car number 1, the previously Calsonic Impul team, now Morelli Impul Z, ended up going with 5th place. 10th place, car number 23. I would have hoped they would have been higher up in the rankings because they were really good sitting for the rankings for the team. Motul Altec Z, car number 23. 10th place. Not the best showing, but again, you never know what the next round's going to have. 12th place, car number 24, the Realized Advan Z has slipped down. They ended up taking 12th place. So that's where we are for round 7. We only have one more round to go. Round 8 will actually be the 4th and the 5th of November at Motegi. Now, in the 300 series, current rankings right now, 3rd place, the Realized Nissan Mechanic GTR team, Mechanic Challenge GTR team, is actually sitting in 3rd. The Gainer 10X team is actually sitting in 8th place. That's for the 300 series. In the 500 series, we're actually not doing too bad. 2nd place is car number 3. The Nitera Multi Z is actually sitting there. We've got some points to make up. I don't know how that's going to play out. It's all just going to depend how round 8 goes for us. But it sounds like they're going to be pretty good for sitting on the podium somehow with that. So 5th place for team ranking, car number 1, Team Impul Z, formerly Calsonic team. And 6th place, car number 23, Team Nismo, or the Motul Altec Z. So we're not doing too bad as far as team rankings is concerned. So, yeah.
Now, and this is the 2nd year that the new Z has been competing in Super GT, I believe, right? I mean, it's last year was the new Z essentially took first last year, I believe, and this year, would you say they're doing just as good as last year, or maybe
I would say
slipping a little
they're
bit?
not doing too bad. I mean, you got to remember also that the car number 23, that car took a massive
It did.
destruction. Nothing short than that. I mean, the whole car basically had to be redone. right at the time of the break. So they had to rebuild that car. They had some coming back from that, but they were killing it prior to that, which is why their ranking is so high still. Um, so let's see how they do as far as making it back up to maybe a stronger podium finish for now. But the Nigeria Motul Z has kind of steadily been holding strong this entire series, which is why they're kind of sitting where they're at for second ranking right now. So,
Gotcha.
but again,
Gotcha,
we'll
man.
keep you updated. If we had a Facebook page, I would that was working, and we weren't in Facebook jail for the freaking Nissan Nerd podcast page. I love to usually put up the race when it's live, but unfortunately, it's
Yeah,
not going to happen.
I did some research on that. By a side note, I was looking into it, trying to get some updates. Still same status, under
I don't know
review.
what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
We're
I
still
have
in
no idea.
well, Instagram's still being good to us right now.
Instagram's good to us. So yeah, for those who would like more from us, go to our Instagram, sign up with that one for sure.
And if you want to know more what's happening with the with Super GT as a whole, you can subscribe. Instagram has some really good coverage, some really good some great photos as far as photo coverage, video live coverage. That's available through Instagram. I should say live coverage, but photo coverage and some really good pitch shots is really kind of where I grab all these photos from, is all from the Instagram pages. Again, you can check that out through the Super GT Instagram. And then, of course, Nismo has a really good coverage of everything that they have with the Super GT Racing Series right now. So, yeah, I highly recommend following those. So,
Gotcha.
all right.
Gotcha,
And
man.
GT4 series, you are going to be covering here for us today, right?
Sure am. Yes. So since we last left off with the GT4 America Series, of course, we do have two of the new Z entries, GT4 spec Z cars. That is with our team Tech Sport Racing. They have their two entries. Of course, we're talking about the number 22 car, which is the black and red GT4Z. The drivers are Eric Powell and Colin Harrison. And then you have the number 23 car, the white and red Z car. That is driven by Brian Highcotter and Tyler Stone. Honestly, these were the last two rounds of the season, round 13 and 14. They took place October 5th and 6th. It happened at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Indiana. What was really cool about this track is that, of course, it's the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a high-speed ring. And I'll get into the results in a second here, but what I'm really seeing is that it seems like the Z car is doing really good with the high-speed rings. Even if the entire course is not the ring, we're seeing some really good results when part of the course is a high-speed ring. But let's go ahead and get into it then. So we're going to start off with round 13. Eric Powell and Colin Harrison qualified 25th. Now, however, they were able to finish the race 17th place overall, so they did have an improvement there. And then it was 8th position for their class specifically. So again, 17th overall, 8th into the class. Now, Brian Highcotter and Tyler Stone in round 13, they qualified 31st. They were even further behind in race one there. Now, however, they were able to finish essentially 10th in their class and 32nd overall. This is a huge gain, though. When you think about it, starting in 31st place and finishing 10th in class, they were actually awarded with the Hard Charger Award from the GT4 series, which is the car or driver team that gained the most positions in a race. And this is actually the second time that Tech Sport Racing has received this award. And I believe the last one was at Sebring, which was that high-speed ring. That's where I was thinking, I see these connections. Now, if you combine that with improvements that the team has made in the car progressively, again, this is the last race of the year. Really, they're leaving it all out on the track, essentially, you know. Getting into the next race that happened on Sunday, Eric Powell and Colin Harrison, they qualified 27th to start. However, they did finish 9th in their class, 19th overall. So they did see a gain. It's progressively during these races that they were able to just really start just chomping through the races, through the positions. So we do see progress there. Brian Highcotter and Tyler Stone in that second race on Sunday qualified 13th and finished 7th in their class, 24th overall. So, in total, both of our drivers, both our cars, I should say, brought in 12 points for Tech Sport Racing this last weekend. And honestly, that marks the end of the season, end of 2023 season. In summary, if you're interested to know, in their class, which is the Pro-Am class, there were 20 entries, 20 team entries this year. Tech Sport Racing finishes 9th place as a team out of those 20 entries. So I want to say congrats to the team. I hope they've really enjoyed this 2023 season, and I believe I do see preparations already being made for 2024 and Tech Sport. If the rumors are to be believed here, I believe we'll see them again representing Nissan and the Z car in 2024. So that resumes, or sorry, that concludes the GT4 race this season, and we'll be moving on and checking in with them. But of course, I believe the next race doesn't happen until late March of next year, so it's going to be a little bit until our next recap, unless we hear anything between now and then. So we'll go ahead and keep you guys updated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll have to kind of check in with those guys. Maybe we can get some of those, maybe some of the racers or some of the pit folks to kind of come on with us since they've got some downtime or in
Now that they've got,
we'll ask them if they're going to get the Lawnmower Men helmets and see if they're getting any development like that. So we'll see how that goes. By the way, for those that don't know, Mike and Haley actually did some great coverage of one of the race events where they got some really good footage, some good interviews. You can go back and listen to a few of our, I don't know how many podcasts back it was, maybe like 2 or 3, where we actually did some great interviews with those folks and some good insights on what's happening with the cars, racer development, team development. So I found that pretty astonishing that we were able to get all that stuff. And they're great folks. They were super open to helping everybody out, and they've opened themselves up to car corrals for the Nissan community. So tell me that's not cool. So yeah, it's kind of bittersweet that the season's kind of now ended, but I can't kind of wait for the next one. So that'd be pretty awesome.
I will say you're absolutely right, Miles. Though every race that they've participated in this year, from a Z enthusiast perspective, no matter where you are in the U.S., has been essentially a party for those in the area. You go out there, you take your Z, you get preferred parking, you get some parade laps, and then the Tech Sport Racing team, my hat's off to them. A lot of teams could say, hey, we're busy. We can't afford to have you near us. We can't talk to you right now. Tech Sport wasn't doing that. They were saying, oh, hey, are you doing all right? Yeah, pop a squat. Take a seat if you need to. Very, very hospitable, very nice people. So I really hope that continues in 2024. And those interviews that you mentioned, they are on our YouTube channel. We spoke with Brian Highcotter and Tyler Stone. And then the other interview was with 2 of the Nismo engineers that are responsible for the GT4 entry. So great interviews. Check out our podcast network and YouTube channel. You can get a hand. You can see those there.
So at this part, we're actually going to be starting to dive into our special segment. Sometimes we do this with Back Alley Chat. Sometimes we do product news which is obviously our shut up and take our money. But today we're actually going to be setting up for an interview today. It's been a while since we've kind of done that. Now, Mike, let's talk a little bit about this interview. What do we got coming up?
For sure. Now, it has been just a little while since our last interview. And guys, for those who haven't really seen what we've done with interviews, is that typically what we like to do is we like to promote businesses and enthusiasts that really contribute to the Nissan community in whether large ways, small ways. We are a very modest grassroots podcast, so we do what we can to promote those who are willing to hang out with us and talk with us. It's really easy to talk Nissan with anybody who's really willing to talk about it. So we did find one great person to talk with. She's got a business here that specializes in first generation Datsun Z cars. Miles, go take the rest. How did you find her, by the way? You're the one who found her, our guest here, and how'd that work out?
Well, from time to time, I kind of fall onto an S30 chassis, and I'm always kind of looking for car parts. And it's always nice to have a certain number of vendors or just business owners that cater to that particular addiction, which is very specific. So I actually was kind of shopping online, and I heard through the grapevine, like, hey, you got to call this person. They pretty much have a slew of these of S30 stuff if you should need it. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I started kind of just shopping around. I started shopping their website, and of course, I just started up a conversation about it, and I probably probed them a little too early, like, hey, like, tell me a little bit about your business. They're like, do you want car parts or not? What's going on here? So, and that's kind of what happened with this one. So I was kind of probing around, and I found these folks, and we're going to be bringing it on here in just a moment. Now, hailing, of course, from Denver, Colorado, we have a longtime Nissan Z car owner and enthusiast. This is actually Junkyard Jenny Boyd. And she's going to be coming on here with us in just a few moments. But basically, she's the proprietor of a successful online business, which basically specializes in first generation Z cars. And we're going to go ahead and bring her on right now. So,
all right, Jenny, are you there?
She's in our green room.
Hey. Thank you for hanging out in the green room. It's been a minute. Thank you. Thanks for your patience on that one.
Listen to all our IT issues, and then of course all our Nissan news and motorsports. So thank you for staying on with us and staying in our green room. Hope you enjoyed the virtual water and snacks. So.
Oh, they were delicious. Yes, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, it's great. Actually, like I said, we were super excited to have you on the show, and of course, it's always nice when we have an opportunity to talk with vendors that are very in our world. I mean, they're kind of Nissan nerds in themselves, and you very much are a Nissan nerd or a Datsun nerd in this case. So thank you again for coming on with us. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the business. Of course, obviously you're specializing in S30 used car parts, which is a very niche market, and it's a very up and coming market, I would think, at this point, because with the development of everything that's happening with price ranges with the S30 and stuff. But when did you discover or own your first Z car? How did you get the addiction? How was the bug?
Well, I got the addiction back in Votech when I was like, oh my gosh, 16, 17 years old. There was a kid who had moved from Georgia who had I think a 77 or 78. That was the first time I'd ever seen one, and I fell in love with them and vowed one day I'd have one. And 1996, I bought this one over here, not that one, this one. And I've had that car forever. And then I did some modifications to it back in 2013. And then the leftover parts that I had, I thought, well, I'll stick these up on eBay and see if I could sell them. And sure enough, I did. And then meanwhile, I bought another car and sold those parts. And then I bought another car and sold those parts. And before I knew it, it was kind of snowballing. And I really tell people I got lucky. I love the Z cars. I've known them for years, and I'd always kind of been a sort of a seller on eBay, and so I just kind of combined the two, quit my day job, and it just took off.
Wow!
So,
wow!
Yeah, got a little crazy.
Yeah. So you said 2013. That's when the first sales kind of began.
Yeah, that's when they really began. I had to actually become a legit business in 2015. That year, I actually grossed just over $100,000 in sales.
Wow.
Yeah.
Insane.
It was crazy.
Well, if you think about it, I would say you could cheat yourself and say you're celebrating your 10 years now, or you're celebrating your 8 years. It's up to you.
8 to 10 years. That's
I don't know. I think I'm going to wait till 2025, because I think that's really when it made it official. That's when I got my first 1099. Let's just say.
Let's say when you're legal.
When I was legal. Exactly.
I mean, that's huge amount of money to be putting that. And I always watch your feeds, and you're always like, picked up another one, and I'm like, oh man, I was like, and so you're not just a person. And for those that don't know, you're not just a person that picks up cars, strips them down, and sells parts, but you're also a lover of Z's too as well. So sometimes you'll be like, you'll put your hands out and you'll feel the vibe on the car. You're like, all right, this is a saver, right? Or this one's like, no, that's going to be a parts car. How do you make that determination?
Well, it's even deeper than that too. I mean, honestly, oh yeah. So sometimes I'll pick up a car and then I'll kind of ask for the backstory on it. And then of course, every car I give a stock number so I can
the hard tug,
how much money it's making. But sometimes I'll give them names based on their previous owners.
It's a bad thing. It's just like when you name dogs, you're going to keep them.
Yeah, their stock number will be based on their other previous owner and the story behind it. A lot of the stories are kind of sad. I might have one that where the owner passed away and I ended up with what was left of it, or something to that effect. But yeah, no, if I do get a car in that's worthy of rebuild, I'll take the hit and I'll sell it as a complete unit, because I'd really rather see it back on the road than part it out. I have a lot of people who are telling me, no, don't part that car out, save it. And then I take the taillights off and the whole tail panel just collapses and rusts. It's like, that one's not savable. I do save the ones that I can. I absolutely do. And I would sell them to somebody who's going to rebuild it, bring it back to life.
Yeah. So I know we had a chance to talk a little bit earlier this week too, and I love the fact that you have this passion for the car. You have such a knowledge base for the car. It plays into the products you're selling, right, and the quality of the parts too. Like, just like Miles said, you're an actual enthusiast of the car, so you have a knowledge of the car that you know whether a used part is worth selling or not. You're not selling junk. You're able to evaluate that part, but also clean it up and package properly, because I'm sure there's a lot of errors that other people make. Or how does that work? What's your process when you start tearing apart and packaging parts?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. When I get a car in, I'll give it a good look over. For example, we all know that the door glass has a tendency to be really scratched on these cars. And so, I might get a car in that's really dusty. If I take the door glass out, I'm going to clean it up really well. Sometimes I'll even try to polish the scratches out of the glass just to make sure, that it's something that I would want to put in my own car. If it's real bad, then I'll just break it down to where I'll take the metal frame off of it and sell just the metal frame. Those do rust out. But a lot of times the glass is just too scratched to sell, and I'm not going to put that up for sale. Or say the clocks, for example. I get a lot of clocks that don't work. I'll put power to them. If they don't work, then I soak them in a little bit of like gasoline vapor, shake them up, beat them up, do what I have to do, and then make them work. And then if I can make them work, then they get a good polish, a little bit of restoration. I don't do like full on factory concourse restorations. I do them to, for more the daily driver kind of a person. You're going to see, with me, you're going to get maybe the occasional run in the paint, or, I just did a toolkit, and I did it Massey Ferguson red. It's not Nissan red. So it's like, it's close, but it's not the right color. And, I just do that really for the daily driver person who wants nice looking parts, and they don't want to get this part, have to clean it up, have to test it. Does it work? Does it not? Every part's going to be clean, tested, and ready to install.
And I think that's the thing that separated. It's funny. That's the thing that drew me into talking to you for a potential interview. And really the reason why you're here, because your level of quality and pre-test for all your stuff is not really what you would see normally in the business. Like, some people will be like, yeah, I've got a clock, and they'll throw it in a box and they'll ship it, and it's full of dust and
right.
Whatever. It's been sitting in whatever shop for 20 years and it smells like cigarettes and whatever, right? And oil, and that's just the way it is. But you actually take a lot of time to make sure that these people are getting what they're hoping for. You know, it's kind of like Christmas every time these people are getting boxes from you. And I really think that's one of the main reasons why you're escalating to be one of the top used 240Z parts vendors that are out there. And because these things aren't available, yeah, there's people that are retroing and making this stuff, but there are some hardcore people that really want the original pieces and know that they can at least get a good functioning piece and go from there.
Oh, sure. You know, and let's say that clock doesn't function and I can't make it work. I'm still going to clean it and polish it and all that. And then I just put it in the parts bin. And then, you know, so if somebody needs a knob, if somebody needs the face off of it, or just the lens, or maybe a harness off of it or something, I'll part it off of that.
You're pretty proud of the no part too small.
Yep.
Slogan.
Yeah.
You told me, what is it the other day? We were talking and you said, somebody called me and they just needed a spring. And you're
it was the spring on the lock cylinder. He needed the spring on the lock cylinder so that, you know, when you put the key in, it comes back. He needed that. I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I got that.
and that's the thing. That's why you're here. You know, that it's one of those like attention to detail. The super nerddom is at a higher level with you, and I kind of appreciated that, and I could appreciate that attention to detail because I nerd out in that way, in regard. And you're a one woman operation, as it were, right? So you're in there literally cleaning parts and putting them back to the best of your ability, to pre-condition, basically, right?
Yep, I absolutely do. I'm not a big fan of that Facebook that you so lovingly refer to.
I'm still, if they had MySpace still up, I would still be on MySpace.
I know, right? I know.
I'm an antiquated kind of dude. I apologize.
Oh, antiquated here. I get my cars from Craigslist. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I get my cars, and you know, yeah, I definitely think that you know, the nerd side of it is definitely there. I've got part numbers and interchanges memorized. I've got my inventory memorized, you know, so it's like, I'm definitely nerding out on these Datsuns. I think they're great. Yeah. There's my glass.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of inventory, you're absolutely right. I know we've got a few pictures we're going to be sharing here in the background, but what's your inventory look like? I mean, so this is 8 years in now.
Well,
I mean,
it's
how has it
constantly
grown?
floating, right? You're saying that you're constantly getting inventory, cars kind of come and go, but yeah, this is just from today.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we were kind of talking about that. I mean, it's funny, like this is just kind of like gold. I know it sounds crazy. Like some people would be like, oh, you know, you've got the yard, but I mean, to me, it's all gold. You know, it's like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like this car here, the one that we're looking at here, this one came to me. You're basically looking at how I got it. But I dug deeper and I literally took out like the you know, the bolts for the sill plate, and I sold those, or the screws, you know, for the sill plates. I sold those. It still had the toolbox lids on it. Took those out, sold them. You know, so that car made me a little bit of money, believe it or not. And I just thought it was too pretty to, you know, to take apart. I'm sure the doors are actually probably really good shape. I can't remember if they are or not, but I'm keeping that car as kind of, that's my yard art. That's my advertising. You know, yeah, I love that car.
So let's talk about the weird, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So we've all bought in cars that we're just like, okay, I'm buying this car as a parts car, and you find the weirdest thing in these cars when you're, I mean, let's talk about weird. All right, what have you found that's weird in a car?
Well, I just did one that I actually plucked out of the mountains, and I found the weirdest stuff in it. So I found MREs, meal ready to eat kits from Buckley Air Force Base from 1972, 3 of them.
That was their bug out vehicle?
Huh?
The Datsun was their bug out vehicle?
Oh yeah, must have been.
The apocalypse game.
There was a box of Trojans in there that I believe
Gotta be safe.
expired.
Gotta be safe in the apocalypse. You never know.
They expired in 1979.
It's all right. They're good. Trust me, they're good.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff. So that was definitely, yeah. And then the last gas receipt was in that car. I thought it was ironic. It was July 4th, 1987. It was the last time that car was filled up with gas.
Wow.
So, yeah.
4th of July,
you probably still have real gas in that car before it is whatever
leaded,
yeah,
leaded gas, the abomination of the gas that's in it, you know. So
oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that car was pretty gross. I took the exhaust manifold off of it, and it just the corrosion that was in cylinder number 6, even after, oh my gosh, how many years would that be? 35 years, just came like pouring out of the exhaust hole on the head. I mean, not even pouring out, it was like spooging out, and I couldn't believe it was still semi-liquid after all these. It was disgusting. I didn't even bother taking the head off. I mean, this car was just so bad. Everything from the belt line down was toast.
So let's talk a little bit about your personal history. So obviously you're a Datsun fan, and obviously you're truly into restoring these cars right now, but you also have a little bit of a racing history too as well, yourself, right?
Yeah. Actually, well, it did start with this car behind me. I've had that car for 27 years. And when I met my husband, you know, he was a drag racer. He actually did some Honda drag racing, believe it or not. And he wanted to get into more rear-wheel drive stuff. So we raced this car for one season, hurt it twice just by breaking axles in it. And I said, yeah, no, not this car. I'm done with this car. So we ended up going out and buying a Fox body Mustang, and then built that one and did some racing with it. Unfortunately, we wrecked that one in 2016. He wrecked that one in 2016. So we built another one from the ground up, and that one I'd been racing for quite some time, actually. There was one year, gosh, I wish I would have sent you some pictures. You guys would love this. There was one year where my Mustang was down. I believe it was the 2021 season. And I ended up driving a friend of mine. He had a 1974 Skyline C110 right-hand drive.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the Ken Murray, yeah.
This thing was such a blast. It was you know, obviously it's not a Nissan anymore. It's got a 481X turbo motor in it. But that car was just such a riot to drag race, and it right-hand drive. So that one was really fun. So it's kind of neat to be able to drag race and still be into the Datsuns. And we're actually considering taking maybe one of these chassis out there.
I was going to ask, I was like, I see that in your future. I mean, I don't see you reviving. I can't see you reviving the Orient Express, but
no, no, that one's pretty shot.
But I can see you doing something cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be a nice shop vehicle. So yeah, that would be fun. That definitely would be fun. We've got my local track has closed down officially now, so we've got about a year to sort of regroup and figure out what we're going to do. I know we're going to rebuild my Mustang. I did have a pretty nasty wreck in 2022. We kind of sort of rebuilt it a little bit, but not to the specs that we want to build it to. So now we've got a year that we can really put some effort into it and get it back to where it needs to be. And maybe in the 2025 season, we'll have 2 cars or maybe 3. It just depends. Just depends on what the future holds for us. So the market's been good enough for you to really put a lot of, I mean, we've talked offline, but I mean, that whole shop behind you was basically dedicated primarily to just the Datsun business that's going on right now. So obviously business is doing well. I mean, we know that the Z market is kind of, especially the S30 market is kind of shooting up right now. So the price on parts, I would assume, is increasing as well. But basically, what, you know, from you probably got your thumb on the pulse higher than anybody else, if I had to guess. So what is the Z car parts market like? Is there rarity? Is there scarcity? What do you think?
Yeah, there is. I'm seeing a lot. Really, the biggest shift I'm seeing is that people are going from the resto mods. At least my customers are coming from the resto mods and going back to OEM. I'm finding a lot of customers are looking more for, like, they want the SUs. They don't want the Webers or the Mikunis. I mean, I'm sure they're still out there. You know, that's just not my customer. My customer's kind of looking more for the OEM stuff. And yeah, there's still a pretty high demand, but I got to be honest with you. Sometimes I feel really guilty about the prices that I see, you know, when somebody's asking $3,500 for a radio, I sold mine for $1,500. I can't do it. I can't. I can't sleep at night when I see prices like that. You know, price gouging. Yeah. Some of my prices are a little bit high, and you know, I'll look over them about once every couple of weeks, and I'll go through and I'll lower the prices. Or one policy I've kind of always had was, if you see something on eBay and you think the price is high, or you really need that part, call me. I probably have a duplicate. I always sell my things to outside of eBay customers for much cheaper because I can save the fees. I have tons of parts in inventory that are not on eBay simply because I haven't had the time to upload them. You know, so eBay's got maybe a tenth of my inventory on, not even a tenth of my inventory on it. So, you know, if there's something you need for your car, let's say you do need that elusive sill plate screw. You're not going to find it on eBay, but call me, I have it.
Inventory is a big one too, because I know you mentioned, so we saw pictures here, you know, of some of the cars, but you've got more than that, right? You've got
yeah, those shipping containers, I've got 2 of them, and they are full nose to tail with shelves. The shelving is even organized. Each shelf has a numerical and an alphabetical location, and then all my parts are in totes based on those locations, and I know where everything is. Had a customer this morning ask me, he says, I need a Series 1 fan and fan clutch. Do you have it? And I said, yeah. He says, well, go out to the yard and get it. And I said, okay. And I called him back in 5 minutes with it in my hand because I knew right where it was.
Wow.
So, yeah. So yeah, it's kind of nice to be able to just go out there and grab something knowing where it is.
I love that too, that sense of organization. For me personally, part of my job, there's a rule that says if you can't find it right within a certain amount of time, whether it's a minute or 30 seconds or, you know, that quickly, then there's a problem. But the fact that you've got, you know exactly where it's at, it seems like you've got an awesome system on hand.
Yeah.
To be very responsive.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like I said, everything too gets cleaned, photographed, and then inventoried into those shipping containers. And so I kind of, like I said, I know where everything. One of the shipping containers is kind of the new arrivals, and so that one I really haven't gone through. Like one side of it is new arrivals, and I haven't really gone through that side yet. But well, what I'll do is when I'm not dismantling a car and I'm finished with all of its inventory, then I might go out there and just grab a whole shelf of stuff and bring it in. And then that'll get processed and cleaned up. And then it goes into the other container where it gets cataloged. And, you know, then I know where everything is. So like that gray car there, it's got a stock number. I think I believe that's CO3. It's a 1973. The doors, the driver's side door on that one is going to be being picked up from a guy. I can't remember where he's at, but he's got family in Denver. So he's coming to get that door.
Yeah. Jenny, you're not working right now. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it's like, you know, I know. Yeah. My inventory is all in my head.
So, you know, when you get a car in, I mean, what are the few common items which I guess seem to be overly popular? Like they're just, everybody needs those all the time. I mean, not necessarily rare, but like, you know that, okay, I need to set this aside. Like those are always the things that people need for that car.
Manual pedal assemblies, 5-speed transmissions, N47 heads, N42 blocks, you know, 240Z turn signal lights. I mean, hazard switches from pretty much any year except for the 74 to 76. I can't sell those to save my life. But, you know, and really, and door glass, all these racks are full of door glass that you see there, but those are kind of my, you know, they're like the B-sides. They're the not great ones. I kind of wait for something better to come in.
It'll get you down the road glass.
Yeah, those are my cheap ones.
It'll pass inspection glass, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So really, and a lot of it's cosmetic, but every once in a while I will get somebody who's like, I desperately need an E88 head with a C-cam, or, you know, I need a timing cover or something to that effect.
All the weird Datsun nerd questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, there are things that I've got multiples of that I can't sell. You know, like the trim that goes over the dome light, for example. I probably have 20 of those, just in various colors, you know, just sitting there waiting for a new home.
Are there any parts that that you're finding are hard or rare to come by nowadays with the S30 chassis?
Yeah, radios, AM radios for sure. Power antennas with the pointy tip. I'm having a hard time getting those. Really anything Series 1, kind of struggling to get a hold of. And when I do get a hold of it, that first car, that car I did a couple weeks ago, this red one, I call it a Series 1 transition car. It's not a true Series 1 with the vents, but it had, the Series 1 alternators, metal fan, the earlier stuff mixed in with the later stuff. But it had a good radio, a good AM radio, and, stuff like that. But there was a lot of things on it that I literally had to throw away because they were just not in great shape. I mean, it had a pointy tip antenna on it, but the mast had a cut in it. Like somebody had nicked it with a, I don't know, pair of pliers or something. And it was just heartbreaking. I'm like, no. But I kept the body of it, because I know that the motor works. And one day I'll come across a pointy tip mast with a bad motor and I'll put the two together. So I'm going to keep it.
Yeah. You'll find that perfect combination too.
So you're just not, and the other thing too I wanted to mention as well is you're not necessarily also pulling parts. You actually take the time to, and people can't see all this because it's all to the left and the right of you, but you actually take the time to like blast parts if somebody's going to be putting it in paint. All right, cool, and you'll prep it for them, and then your packaging is at a whole nother level from what I understand. Like you're spending the time to actually wrap everything versus, normally you order stuff and you get it shipped and then it's always breaks in that one little spot where it's weak. And don't get me wrong, I like Datsun S30s. I've had a few of them before. But let's talk about the quality in the 70s of some of this plastic stuff from the beginning. I mean, you breathe on it wrong and it's going to crack on you. So you're getting these pieces that are like, unicorn horns. And so you're taking the time to make sure that when these things do ship, that they're shipping with quality, they're clean, and then shipped out with quality and love in mind as well. And that, again, that's one thing that I believe separates you from most your typical vendor where you get it, you got a 50-50 shot of it being not damaged when they took it out. And then, of course, a 50-50 shot of getting it damaged when it ships.
Right, exactly. And that's when, when it comes to cleaning the parts, I have a blaster, I have a hot tank, I've got a sonic cleaner. I do a lot of the vinegar and salt things, I do anything I can to really clean them up. And then, of course, they'll either get painted or clear coated, or I don't have a zinc plater yet. Probably going to start working on that. Maybe mid-year next year, I might start zinc plating. Things like that. But yeah, when it comes to packaging, what I like to do is I imagine I'm getting the part. And so, like I shipped out a taillight today and it got double wrapping this way and then double wrapping that way and then wrapped in paper and then, bubble wrap around that. So I really want to make sure that the parts get there. I do have a guy over here is asking me about warranties. I literally guarantee everything I sell. Absolutely guarantee everything I sell is so. If I send you a part and it arrives, let's say a combination switch, or no, here's a better example. I had refurbished a hazard switch on a 77, 78, got into it, cleaned all the connections, did everything, shipped it off to the guy. He said, only the passenger side of my car is working, the driver's side's not. I said, okay, send it back. And he sent it back and I gave him a full refund. And I will do that on everything. With these cars, I don't want to stick people with parts that don't work, that are ugly. They're just not happy with it, whatever. I'm real easy when it comes to returns. I want to make sure that my customers are happy.
Yeah. For those that don't know, the question that was asked, if you're following the YouTube, you're not following the feed, which there's a difference. It said, Jenny, I signed on late, so maybe you answered this question already. Do you give a warranty on any moving parts or electronics, which she just discussed right now? So that was the answer to that question, just for
George just followed up as well. Said great policy, shows integrity and honesty. So that's great things.
Thank you, George, for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you, George. For sure. Like I said, I mean, it's this truck over here, for example, I just bought a speedometer or instrument cluster for it, and I plugged it in, and the only thing that worked was the check engine light. And when I messaged the seller, he said that's the risk you take when you buy a used electronic part.
Oh, what? No, that's what a seller's supposed to be, that verification and security that comes with.
Right.
You obviously have it the right. You have it the right way.
You have the right mindset as a business owner.
Yeah. I mean, it's, so now I'm stuck with a part that doesn't work and he's not going to refund me. And to me, that's unfair. And I'm not going to do that to my customers. If I send you a tachometer, I can't test it. That's the problem. I can't test my parts. I don't have, the right equipment. I don't have donor vehicles laying around with good batteries, so if I get a tach and it's not responding or it's responding wrong, I don't know that. So I'll clean it up. I'll make it pretty. I send it to you. If you plug it in and it doesn't work, I'm going to refund your money. The only thing I don't do is refund the labor. Okay. And that's kind of where it's like, well, that's what you get for buying a used part. It's
you have to draw your line. You have to draw the line. And some of that kind of comes with buying used cars. I mean, that's just how it is. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, I've bought a lot of cars, and in my younger days when I wasn't doing a lot of my own work, people like you were kind of a godsend to me. Yeah. So I knew that I could I always had that to fall back on. I knew at the end of the day, I knew I was going to get the part working. It just, if it was going to happen on the first or the second one. And for me, back when I cared, at that point in my life, it was the originality. I was trying to keep things, as original that I wanted everything to be at that time. So, I mean, it says a lot on it. And that's kind of, again, one of the reasons why you're here, Jenny, and why we wanted to show support by talking about your business. So.
Now, you did mention, having great quality in mind and consideration for the customer and the deal and the work that you're giving them. I was looking through your eBay store that you mentioned, and I'm going to share my screen and share this. This is actually awesome to see. And
we're real-time grilling Jenny. All right.
Yeah. No. We're not even grilling. This is a feather in the cap, because when you look at her eBay store, it's over 10,000 items sold through eBay. Jesus. And you've got a 100% positive feedback. How do you manage 100% over 10,000 items? That is an insane statistic, and it's amazing. It's a great. That brings confidence. If I'm a buyer looking through your catalog and I see that, I don't know, how did you I mean, is that just in your nature? I mean, how did you manage that?
Hold on. And does it cause you stress at night?
Actually, it does. It does. So it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had sold a distributor to one guy and some bumperettes to another, and I got their packages backward. I have never done that in my entire existence. And so they both contacted me and they're like, hey, we got the wrong thing. And so I was leaving for vacation. And so what I did is I just reprinted the labels and I mailed them to them. And I was like, can you stick this on this box and you stick this on this box and send it back? And I'm just waiting for the negative feedback.
I will say 1 in every 10,000 is a pretty good track record.
I know, but I know I'm gonna get it. Okay, so so you're scrolling up there. You see those bumper brackets there. The second one, no, one more down. The 260Z bumper brackets right there.
Okay.
I need to refurbish those.
That's fine.
Those look like
crap. You're starting to nerd out. So
yeah, I'm totally nerding out.
Haley Myers chimed in here and she said, how many of your cars inventoried actually end up in your garage?
Oh, I end up in my garage. Actually, none. I've been pretty good, and I think it's because I have this one that I already don't drive, so I don't need to add any more to the corral that I don't drive.
Sure. Hey, do you want one more? If you could have one more in the garage, I know you probably already have a year in mind. Go on.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I do want another one because I don't know. I love parting them out.
Now, I do the same thing. I buy 300s from time to time, Z32s. And I do the same thing. I kind of enjoy parting them out. It becomes a little, dare I say, like meditation. Like I kind of zone out, and I enjoy filling the need for somebody that would need that part. And then my buddies too. Like, hey, does anybody need this? And I call them, and we all we're around a campfire, if you will, which is this dilapidated Z32 that we're going to strip down like ants. you know, stripping down you know, a piece of candy in the street. And it's just,
Right.
it's all gone like in a matter of like, you know, 24 hours. But it's a great story. We had fun doing it. And, you know, everybody got parts of it, you know, that they needed. I mean, that's a pretty cool karma way to live. And it sounds like you're kind of living that way as well.
Well, the worst part is I got in this one the other day and I took it for a drive, and I'm kind of looking around and I'm like, man, so I have a dashboard for it that I got on a Horde that I bought. Beautiful dashboard. Haven't put it in. It's been probably 5 years that I've had that dash. You know, the door pulls, those suckers on this car, like super faded and kind of warped, but I know I've got a really nice set of them. I need to pull those and put them in this car. You know, little things like that, you know, or the dash, the defrost cowl on mine's got a little tiny bend in it. You know, I've got ones that are perfect.
You could probably start doing like the whole like building towards a semi-concourse kind of thing. I mean, it's not like you don't have the inventory or the options for it. So.
That car's so modified. It's not concourse quality.
So you have one great, one mild.
Now you got two Datsuns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, don't listen to us because this is how the addiction starts with us.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. No, I just can't. My biggest problem is I just don't have the time. I don't have the time, you know, to build another one. Between this car and the race car, I'm kind of tapped out for time. So
yeah, well, I mean, these parts, taking the time to clean them and all those minutes translates into hours, and then answering and fielding all the phone calls that you do. You got to go from there.
Yeah.
Ryan said, addiction, what?
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was wondering too, because I'll give you an example. There was a few parts I had multiples of, and I had like four of the same part, and I always told myself, well, I'm going to keep one for myself and sell the other three. And then sure enough, I sold all four in one day. Like, it was just like, what happened to my own collection? Like, it's hard to say no.
And then
sometimes.
What do you tell your brain? You tell your brain, you know what? I'm just going to buy more. And that's how it is. And next thing you know, you're a Junkyard Jenny. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. Just stay out of her world. Stay out of the S30 world, because that's her baby right
now. Of course. Yeah.
No, I don't mind competition. It's fine. Actually, I think honestly, to me, it's, you know, the more people who are out there doing this, the better. I think it's really like a good community effort to keep these things on the road. I really do like seeing them on the road. And then I get a lot of people who are like, I'm so glad I came across you. You know, you're a lifesaver. I just sold a bunch of parts to a guy in Canada. I think I shipped him out yesterday, and he's like, he's got triple Webers on his, and he wants to go back to the OEM. You know, the SUs with the E46 manifold, and that's what he wants. And he's like, I cannot believe you have this. And I had everything from the carb to the manifold, the heat shield, the linkage, the air cleaner, everything. And he was so excited to have it. And he's, you know, gave me kudos, and I was like, I kind of, you know, I'm just so glad I could help people get their cars back on the road and not rake them over the coals when it comes to pricing on it too.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was a lot of money probably for him, but it was a lot less than a lot of the ones I've seen out there go for. So
you're helping lots of people now. Let's talk about helping a lot more in the future. So what is the future plan for Junkyard Jenny's Z parts?
Well, I guess I would just like to expand more as far as you know, I don't have any employees. The reason for not having employees is because I'm just afraid that I'm not going to be able to find anybody who wants to do it the way I do it. I'm very particular with the way I take them apart, the way I, you know, clean them up, the way I inventory.
We might have just checked for a second. There you go.
Oh, there we are. If I can find somebody who's just as addicted to these cars as I am, then that would be great. I definitely want to expand. The thing I'm afraid of is that if I get a little too big for my britches, I might end up kind of losing a little bit of that quality, especially in the customer service department. I hate putting people on the back burner and telling them, you know, it's going to be a couple of days. I'm slammed. But I do want to expand. I want to get as many of these cars and people back on the road as I absolutely can. So, you know,
and you field and not to backtrack a little bit, but you field calls. So people say, hey, I'm looking for this. You literally have a wish list, like for people like, hey, I'll put you on the list. And so you kind of go and you're like a Z hunter in a way for these parts. So when they come in, you basically call them, you know, and it's crazy. Like, I don't even know any other business like in the car world that kind of does that anymore. Like I used to do that when I worked in a music store. Somebody called like, hey, I need this live
CD,
you know, Barry Manilow when he was live at, and you're just like, dude, they made like, you know, they made 500 pressings of that. I'm never going to find it. And then sure enough, one day, hey, I got that Barry Manilow live, you know, live. And you're kind of like that guy. You're like that cool music store person that does that. So again, if you're listening and you have an S30 and you're just like, there's no way anybody's ever going to find this part for me, call Junkyard Jenny, get on the list, and maybe
that's right. Yep. I have a whiteboard that I keep, you know, like it'll say, you know, this guy needs a 5-speed, so he'll get the next 5-speed that comes in, or, you know, this guy's looking for a Series 1 R180 transverse mount bar, you know, okay, he'll get the next one that comes in or whatever. So yeah, they're all, everything is written down. And then like I don't know if you can see it, that box back there on the shelf is full of parts that a guy had ordered. And I was talking to you guys about this a couple days ago. You know, he kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. Well, I get an email from him today and he's like, I am so sorry. I had some medical problems. I still want those parts. Please don't sell them. And I'm over here laughing because I wasn't gonna.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a reasonable goal for somebody. That's respectable. So I get that. So
yeah. Well, I mean, they're still there for him when he needs them. I mean, there's some really good parts in that box. I mean, there's a lot of money sitting in there, but you know, like I said, I mean, he's got some issues going on, and I'm not gonna you know, throw him under the bus. I'll wait. I got other stuff to do.
That wouldn't happen in any other kind of a world other than like the car community. And the Z world is kind of like its own like Volkswagen Bug kind of feel that people don't realize yet. Like people just kind of look out for one another because we understand the addiction. And which is why you're on the Nissan Nerd podcast with us here today. So let's talk a little bit about how people kind of would get a hold of you for the business. Mike, is there anything before we get into details about the business? So let's talk about the eBay store. So if people want to get a hold of you, they can check you out through zcarcrazy74 is your seller profile on eBay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Got it.
And if you don't, you know, if you're not, you don't have to peruse all of my listings. I mean, those are just kind of, you know, whatever car has come in that week that's what's listed off of that car or that horde or whatever. Really, if you're looking for something more specific, then you can really just contact me direct. A lot of times too, though, like let's say, for example, you need that glove box switch or door switch or whatever that is on there. You know, you can contact me directly and say, hey, I need that switch. I'll pull it off of eBay and just deal with you directly too. I can do it that way. We can do it through eBay. Sometimes people are a little leery about me deleting something off of eBay and selling direct, you know, oh, is she legit? You know, I get that. And they want to, you know, they want to go through eBay to make sure that they've got their tracks covered, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Probably doing that. But you know, if there's something kind of oddball that's definitely not on there and you don't think I would, you know, think to have, then the best way to get a hold of me is to either, you know, contact me through my website, my phone, or Instagram usually, or even Facebook too.
Yeah, you mentioned it here too. So website, well, first of all, eBay store, and we'll say it again here, the seller profile, zcarcrazy74, for those who are interested. I have your website up right now, and that is junkyardjenny.com.
Yep.
And it has contact information here. There is some links to the eBay sales, but you do have here on the bottom more information about you. Also, that inquiry that if you can't find the part, contact you. You're available, and even they're saying technical support too. So help with making things fit. And he said, we understand the struggle is real. I really enjoy that.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Also on the website, there is the phone number, and we'll go ahead and put it here on the podcast as well.
Okay.
It's area code 720 835.
No.
Sorry,
385.
385. There's 385 8569.
Mm-hmm.
285s. That makes sense. That's easier to remember. So, and then also Instagram, and we'll be adding. If we haven't added you already,
Did you? Can I
yeah.
just say something? Yeah, your phone number is 720-385-8569. If you take that number and you break it up, you can find all the numbers for 867-5309.
Oh, please don't.
So I won't do it. Obviously, that's a well.
Oh
yeah,
my God! I see it now.
I'm showing my age right there.
But, that is so funny. I never even would have thought about that.
675. Is there a 3? There's
867-5309.
Oh my God! It's all there.
All you did, Jenny, is you changed up your whole number.
You changed the numbers to the song.
We found you. That's it. We found you now.
Oh, how hilarious!
See, that's the OC. A weird music OCD that kind of kicks in you, right?
That's funny.
If you need to get a hold of Jenny, I don't know why I even said that. 720-385-856. And your Instagram page is use.zcar.parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm assuming they can contact you there. Again, through the website, through Instagram. You have a number of channels. So for anybody who's listening and interested in a part, you really have no excuse how you can't get a hold of Jenny. So please do. I was thinking about this too, which was, it's like, it sounds crazy, but yeah, the whole, buy local, buy small business. Like that's a real thing. Like this is, and this is kind of why I love doing this with the podcast.
I say buy Z community is what I like to say. Support the community that supports you, supports your addiction. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that's kind of one of the reasons why we like to support. I would say you're not even starting off anymore. You're 8 years into this business, and we know that you're only going to develop and get larger. Hopefully larger after this, but you were already on that track way before us anyway. But we hope that you're going to do really well, and hope that you're going to continue to grow. I want to hear about some other stories later on and have you on a little bit later. And I want to hear more crazy stories about cars you buy and weird stuff you find in it. So.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, again, I want to thank you again for coming on with us. And
thanks so much for having me too. This has been really fun.
Cool.
Did you think this was what it was going to be when I called you and asked you to be on a podcast? You were like, what?
Well, I've never really been on one, so I didn't know what to expect. But no, this is great. This is fun.
Now, we're pretty easy to work with. So, we're glad you kind of took the time to come on with us. And again, we'll keep in contact. And who knows? We'll probably have to call you for car parts at some point.
I'll be here.
Well, go ahead. If you want to stay in the green room with us a little bit, Jenny, you can come on at the end of the show and we'll kind of chat. But other than that, we're going to start working towards the end of the show. But again, thank you for being on with us again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, anytime.
Cool. Anytime. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
So, again, that was Junkyard Jenny on with us. Obviously, a great business. Check them out at the information that we listed here previously. On that note, that's going to be us kind of working out. You can continue to follow us through like, share, and subscribe through our Instagram page right now. If you have any information that you want to talk to us about, maybe your business, or if there's something in the world of the Nissan or Datsun or Infiniti realm that we need to know, you can contact us. Send us. You can always get us through our Instagram. You can check us out through our YouTube channel as well. And then, of course, if you have any of those stories that we need to know about, you can send those through our info@nissannerd.com.
Absolutely,
and we always love hearing those stories.
You nailed it on the head.
Anything else?
Not so much. I think this has been actually an awesome episode, man. I really enjoyed. We had some good articles. Our motorsports was pretty fun, and obviously a great conversation with Jenny there. And again, a call to action, guys. If you've got anything having to do with a first generation Datsun Z, give Jenny a call. We're going to leave all the information in the show notes. So if there is any questions that you have, if you can't find it in the notes, contact us and we'll get you connected with Jenny to get you the parts.
Is it weird that I wanted to revive the Orient Express?
Dude, I was thinking like Lemon's car, like
I don't know. I mean, I just saw it. It's a weird thing. You know how you always like, I don't know. I would always make fun of girls that like date bad boys and like I can change him. I'm like that with like bad cars, like cars that are way past their prime, and you're just like, I can save it, and just
I'm thinking about technical advantages. So if it's a first generation Z car, it's the thin metal, so it's a lightweight car. Yeah, you don't need a hatch. You don't need a hatch for Lemons, and then a cage. You're allowed to have a cage and spend the money on a cage. So you're just running around with a cage on wheels, like. Screw it, man. That'd be fun.
Who doesn't like a cage on wheels?
Just got a shell, Yeah, I don't know.
Just tetanus holding hands.
I think I need a tetanus shot just looking at it, right? That's
like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a.
But hey, it would win. I think
it would. Bad egg roll, my friend. So, but on that note, again, thank you to everybody for being on with us here tonight. Again, until we see you next time, get in your garage, make something cool. We always like you better when you're in your garage. And Mike, I guess sign off for the compi, right?
Let's do it again. Guys, again, thanks for being with us. We'll see you guys again soon. Until then, again, get in your garage, have some fun. Let's do the compi. All right, guys. Enjoy it.
All right.